in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us, and a very, very happy Tuesday. Yes, that's right. It is Tuesday, and a very busy news day. We appreciate all of you being here on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network, my personal YouTube page, at PTL Radio Show, of course, and the FMAM Dial KSHP. And we got a big show lined up for you today. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we will be joined by one of my favorite guests, Joanna Carducci, also known as Jojo from Jurors, very popular on social media, and she certainly tells it like it is. I just saw her the other day on Pierce Morgan, so she's going to be joining us in just a few. So a lot to get to today and a lot to go over, but I just want to start off right off the bat by saying this. Donald Trump has set the world on fire, and I'm just going to go over what has transpired here in the last 24 hours, and I understand that he's making a speech today. And I understand that there's a lot of MAGA Republicans that are supporting what he's doing, which is really burning down the country. Let's just be honest and let's call it for what it is. But in the past 24 hours, he has put a stop to military aid to Ukraine. Now, we're going to go through these one by one here, but if you don't find that to be troubling, I don't know what to tell you. He's imposed this trade war with our closest friends, particularly those in Canada, and rightfully so. The Prime Minister of Canada has announced a 25% retaliatory tariffs on some U.S. goods in response. The Dow fell to almost 600 points today. Federal workers have been ordered to return to their offices in some cases without desks, without Wi-Fi, and without lights. Park rangers have lost their jobs around the country, many of whom have been working in that spot for years, in some cases, decades. Veterans have lost their jobs. This is Donald Trump America. You F around, this is how you find out. But yet there are still people that believe Donald Trump is a strong leader. There are still people that are happy with their vote. You F around, you find out. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And the proof is in the pudding, and he's only been in office for 6 weeks. And I just mentioned some of those things that have happened over the course of the last 24 hours. And I'm watching CNN last night, and I got to tell you, sometimes even watching CNN is unbearable for a lot of different reasons. They had this guy, Bruce Blakeman, on, and they started talking about the Zelenskyy Donald Trump press conference that took place on Friday. And Bruce Blakeman is a right-wing idiot who occasionally shows up on CNN. And like many others on the far right, he started to attack Zelenskyy and called him a thug live on CNN. Have a listen to this.
The fact that Putin might benefit from it, I don't think that's going to be the case, because I think, first of all, the EU nations are going to step in. They're going to fill the void. And I think at some point, Zelenskyy has to have an end game. If he thinks he's going to defeat Russia, he's delusional. His end game has to be to get to the table, get the best deal he can make, and that would start with a ceasefire and not going to the White House dressed like a schlub. I mean,
we're back to this again.
Well, you know what? When you go to see your banker, you don't wear
the United States is a banker, but is what you're saying. But he came to Congress wearing the same thing. Churchill would come to the United States wearing essentially military fatigues. I mean, this is nothing new. It's just only become an issue now for some reason.
Well, I think it was that and the whole demeanor. He was disrespectful. When using a private sector analogy, when you go to your banker, you put on your best suit, you act respectful, you act grateful, you don't act like a thug. And that's exactly what Zelenskyy
like a thug.
Wow.
He is a man.
Act like a thug. He actually said that on national television. And sadly, there are a lot of right-wingers out there that feel the same way. First of all, what did Zelenskyy do? He showed up. He showed respect to the president and the vice president. They were having a conversation, and it was J.D. Vance and Donald Trump that were clearly the aggressors. And I don't know why these MAGA Republicans are so obsessed with what Zelenskyy looks like. Meanwhile, Marjorie Taylor Greene can go into the House chambers during the State of the Union and decked out in MAGA gear, and they seem to have absolutely no problem with that. But this is Scott Jennings on CNN last night. I want you to have a listen to this. He's talking again. They're obsessed about the tie and the suit that Zelenskyy wasn't wearing. Listen to what, again, another paid contributor to CNN that's making six figures a year, that is an absolute fool, an imbecile. And listen to what Scott Jennings said about that.
Further away from a ceasefire.
I mean, is it worth it? I mean, was not putting on a tie worth it? Was calling Donald Trump?
That's
is it worth
the
it?
last thing that he's worried about.
Look,
he's worried about protecting his nation. Y'all love to do that and gaslight people for being in the position that they are.
They want to talk about decorum. They want to talk about respect, and they all voted for Donald Trump. Is this a joke? Is this an effing joke? And somehow CNN allows these idiots on the air. I mean, listen, I like different points of view. Don't get me wrong. And I like a good debate. I used to watch Hannity and Combs. I used to watch Crossfire. This is not Crossfire. This is not Hannity and Combs. These are right-wing idiots that are paid by CNN. Speaking of idiots, let's talk about the evil racist witch, the scarecrow, Laura Ingram, whose own brother won't even talk to her because he knows what a bigot she is. This is Laura Ingram, again, obsessed with what Vladimir Zelenskyy is wearing. Listen to how she covered this yesterday.
OMG, this isn't even a new strategy. This is warmed over Russian collusion. Oh, how original. It was just 3 days after the man dressed like Captain Spock was booted without lunch from the White House. We're getting a much clearer picture tonight of how things went down and why President Trump is the only politician telling the full truth here.
The man who is dressed as Captain Spock, she just said. A man who is fighting for his country, who could be living a life full of lavish gifts and beautiful homes, but instead he's in the bunker fighting for his country, and thousands of innocent people are losing their lives. And as I speak right now, sadly, innocent soldiers are dying. As I speak right now, sadly, women and children are losing their lives. Why? Nothing to do with nothing to do with Zelensky's actions. Vladimir Putin decided to invade this country, our allies. And Donald Trump today, late last night, announced that he will no longer be supporting Ukraine with artillery. And people like Laura Ingram, despicable morons like Scott Jennings and Bruce Blakeman, want to call Zelenskyy a thug. Wasn't it worth it? Why didn't you put on a tie? And Laura Ingram calls him Captain Spock, the evil racist witch herself, because they want Russia to win. These are people that do not want Ukraine to win. They want Vladimir Putin to win. Why? Because Donald Trump is pro-Putin. And the Republicans can cry until the cows come home and say that I'm wrong, but I'm not. And I want you to listen to the way J.D. Vance characterized that meeting with Zelenskyy. And it wasn't of substance because, like Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, bends the knee to Trump. And what they care about is, quote, great TV. While thousands of innocent people are dying and there is a war going on, J.D. Vance apparently cares more about, quote, great TV. Have a listen to this.
Back to the Oval Office Friday.
Yep.
From your perspective.
Yeah, great TV. As the president said. Yeah, well, it's funny. So we have a 45-minute press conference, and the president normally does this. I mean, I've seen this now 3 or 4 times with foreign leaders where he likes to bring the media in, likes to have a conversation, but answer questions with the press. As you know, he's very open with reporters. And what I noticed is that for the first 25, 30 or so minutes, he tried to sort of bend over backwards to be gracious and kind to Zelenskyy, even when Zelenskyy was kind of needling him, even when Zelenskyy was saying things that I thought were untrue. The president just tried to be diplomatic, right? I think that's his natural instinct in that situation. And then when it really went off the rails, of course, is when I asked, or you had a Polish journalist who asked a question, the president answered it, and then I answered it. And then something about my answer just really set Zelenskyy off. So then he came at me.
So you're blaming yourself.
then I went back at him, right. And what I tried to do originally was actually try to diffuse the situation a little bit, because I'm like, we're having this meeting. Obviously, there are 100 television cameras here. Let's try to have this conversation in private. And then the president, as we kept on going back and forth, I tried again to say, well, maybe we should have this conversation in private. And the president was like, nope, actually, I don't want to have it in private anymore. I want to have this actual conversation in public for the American people to see. And I do think that there was just a certain sense of, there was a lack of respect. There was a certain sense of entitlement. And most importantly, look, we can look past all of that stuff, but the president has set a very clear goal for his administration. He wants the killing to stop. And I think that it's very important that President Zelenskyy and, of course, President Putin, too, they've both got to come to the negotiating table. And that's ultimately where things broke apart. I really don't care what President Zelenskyy says about me or anybody else, but he showed a clear unwillingness to engage in the peace process that President Trump has said is the policy of the American people and of their president. That's the real breakdown. Is I think Zelenskyy wasn't yet there. And I think, frankly, now still isn't there. But I think he'll get there eventually. He has to.
What the hell is J.D. Vance talking about? That is a word salad of lies. J.D. Vance was the aggressor. Zelenskyy asked him a question respectfully about diplomacy. And then Donald Trump, again, made it personal. In no way did Zelenskyy make it personal. He's a man who's fighting for his people and his country, supposed to be our allies. And for them to turn it on Zelenskyy is pathetic and it's disgusting. And J.D. Vance is a liar. We know he has no backbone. We know he's a liar. This was staged in advance. They knew that they were going to do this and they were going to tackle on Zelenskyy. They were going to try to humiliate him. The question about him not wearing a tie was certainly predetermined, that he was going to ask that question. They didn't pick on that guy by accident. Just because you're banging Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't give you a credential to ask a question like that, okay? We all knew that this was going to happen. They already put it together, and they knew that they were going to gang up on Zelenskyy. And that's exactly what they did, and they tried to humiliate him. Now, Zelensky's not going to back down. He's a tough cookie. He's not going to back down. And there are many world leaders all over the world, most of them, that are supporting Ukraine. And unfortunately, today, the United States is not, because Donald Trump just put a stop to military support for Ukraine. Now, while all this stuff is going on, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Caroline Levitt, the fake Christian bimbo, as I would like to call her, who lies on a regular basis. Her and Pam Bondi are very similar in a lot of ways. They bend the knee to Donald Trump. They wear the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7, and they lie. That's what they do. And they get humiliated. Unless you're a huge MAGA Trump supporter with 3 teeth living in your mobile home, you probably agree with me. So Caroline Levitt, again, made the rounds on the networks yesterday. It's like they don't even work. I don't even know what they're doing. Pam Bondi making all these appearances instead of being the attorney general. It's very strange. But Caroline Levitt calling President Trump and the vice president in their behavior with Zelenskyy refreshing. Yes, that's right. I'm not making this up. Have a listen to this.
President Trump wants to end this war. He campaigned on this. He talked about it at every single rally across the country. And unfortunately, President Zelenskyy is not in the mindset to negotiate peace. And I think, frankly, it was incredibly refreshing to watch the president and the vice president stand up for America and to have that be before the world to see. The world was able to finally watch what President Trump and his team have been dealing with behind closed doors, which is a hard-headedness, unfortunately, from President Zelenskyy and the Ukrainians in negotiating a true peace deal with Russia.
Yeah, very refreshing. Thank you, Caroline, for that very refreshing update. You brown noser, you fake Christian, you. What is her husband? Her husband's like the crypt keeper, right? Isn't he like in his 60s or something? Isn't there like a 40-year difference in age? It's very Christian of you. You're the Anna Nicole Smith of 2025, only I thought Anna Nicole Smith was a very kind-hearted, decent human being that had drug issues in her life. You're just a horrible person and a liar and a despicable excuse for a human being. And that's part of the reason why we're in the situation we're in, because of Caroline Levitt's out there. Now, if it is interesting because they always bring up God, right? Caroline Levitt always talks about her Christianity and always wants to bring up God. Here's where she talks about God and her unique skills as being a public speaker. It made me want to vomit. Have a listen to this.
Well, I do think God gives everybody unique gifts and skills, and I guess public speaking is one of mine.
You gave me a big mouth.
But I do work for a great boss who makes my job quite easy because he says something and he does it. So there's no spin. It's all truth. We have the facts on our side, you know, in explaining these tariffs, right? Most people would run away from that argument, but we have the truth and the statistics and the facts on our side, and everything the president does is backed by
on us.
Right. What's right for the American public.
What's right for the American public? He says something, he does it. Did he build a wall and did Mexico pay for it? Did he hire special prosecutors to go after Hillary Clinton? Is inflation lowered? Are the gas prices lowered? Did he end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours like he promised all of us he was going to do? Is there peace in the Middle East? He hasn't fulfilled any of his promises other than pardoning a bunch of January 6th insurrectionist, violent criminals, some of whom beat police officers. Oh, yeah, he did fulfill his promise on that one. And he probably also fulfilled his promise on being bought by Elon Musk and allowing Elon Musk to do everything and anything he can do. He did fulfill his promise on that one. Can you believe that somebody like Caroline Levitt can actually look at herself in the mirror, this despicable human turd putting on that cross, can actually look in the mirror? How does she look at herself in the mirror? Does she actually believe the stuff that comes out of her mouth? It's insane. My unique skills. Yeah, I'm sure if there's a God out there, God wanted you to put on a cross and lie for a 34-count felon, liable, sexual abusing, adjudicated rapist. I'm sure if there is a God out there, I'm sure God said to him or herself, yeah, we want you to defend the indefensible and lie to the American people every day. Yeah, I'm sure that was certainly God's plan, right? Give me a frickin' break. And here's, again, these MAGA idiots out there who kiss the ring. Here she is talking about the art of the deal. Have a listen to this.
This is major news. I know everyone wants to talk about tariffs, bad, bad, bad. No, why don't people understand the president is a never-ending negotiator?
Mm-hmm. He's a never-ending negotiator. It's the art of the deal. But also, the president has proven, as he did in his first terms, that tariffs can bring good-paying jobs back here to the United States of America. They protect critical industries here at home. And President Trump is serious when he says he wants to make America the manufacturing superpower of the world.
I mean, are you kidding me? Now, again, she's being interviewed by the dad bod moron, right-wing hack Sean Hannity, so it doesn't surprise me. And when we talk about tariffs, we know the consumers are the ones that have to pay for it, meaning us, Americans. There are no winners here. And if you want to hear what a true leader sounds like, I hope some of you had the opportunity to listen to Trudeau this morning. Because that is what a true leader sounds like, looks like. And Trudeau said it best. He said he doesn't want to harm America. He's with Americans. We are his friends. But he also said that these tariffs are going to hurt Americans and hurt his people. He doesn't want that to happen. And he also said when Canadians are booing Star-Spangled Banner, they're not booing Americans. They're not booing America. They're booing Donald Trump. They're booing those who put these 25% tariffs in place that will hurt Canadians and hurt Americans. That's who they are booing. And Trudeau was correct. And I don't blame him for responding in these 25% retaliatory tariffs on some U.S. goods. Mexico is going to be doing the exact same thing, enacting the same thing. You see, Donald Trump thought that he could just bully world leaders in other countries. But they are not stepping down. They are not bending the knee like so many in America that are right-wing politicians do. Trudeau is not bending the knee. The president of Mexico is not bending the knee. And there were, I think, somewhere around 20 world leaders that were backing Zelenskyy that met with him over the weekend. They are not bending the knee either. See, Donald Trump thinks he can bully world leaders just like he's bullied people in this country his entire life. But you see, Mr. President, that's not how it works. And Trudeau is responding appropriately. And if I was in Canada, I would say, hey, our prime minister is doing what he needs to do. I don't blame Trudeau. It's not he said it himself. This is not something that he wants to do. It's not something that he enjoys doing. And now Donald Trump is talking about, responding to the tariffs, the retaliatory tariffs. I mean, this is ridiculous stuff. This is dangerous stuff. It's awful. And I think the most dangerous part about all this is that we have so many MAGA Republicans like the Marco Rubios of the world and many others that are agreeing with Donald Trump, and they're not capable, literally not capable of calling him out and saying, no, Mr. President, this is wrong. This is a big fundamental difference between this administration and the prior administration where Trump was in there in 2016 to 2020, where you did have some, not many, but you did have some people in his administration that were willing to call him out and say, no, Mr. President, this is wrong. There literally is nobody in Donald Trump's administration that will do so. And it's dangerous. I want to go to the YouTube super chat real quickly, if I may, where you can make donations and your questions and your comments can be heard. Brian Rodriguez, I want to thank you for your contribution. Brian says Trump threatens to pull federal funds for U.S. schools, allowing illegal protests. What are illegal protests, Brian, based on Trump? Well, it's a pretty good question. If it's a peaceful protest, there's nothing wrong with it. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, this is the MAGA right. This is the far right, where if it's a freedom of speech, but they don't agree with your speech, all of a sudden they'll call it out and they'll try to censor you. But if it's speech that they agree with, or in the case of January 6th, if you beat police officers with their own batons and you are convicted of seditious conspiracy, we will pardon you. But if you're peacefully protesting, could be a Black Lives Matter protest, or you could be peacefully protesting in front of these Capitol buildings, I think on March 14th, they have a problem with that and they want to censor you. This is the MAGA right, ladies and gentlemen. So to talk to us a little bit about this, and well, I hate to say this, but how the world is on fire with some of Donald Trump's actions just in the last 24 hours. Happy and lucky to call her a friend. I've been following her on social media for years. And of course, she is known as the Joanna Carducci, Jojo from Jers. Joanna, it is great to see you. As always, thanks for joining us.
I'm great. How are you? It's great to see you. I mean, I wish we had better circumstances, but it is great to see you. Thank you for once again for having me on.
Of course. Yeah, it's good to see you as well. I don't even know where to begin here. I want to get your original thoughts on what took place on Friday. Let's start there between Vladimir Zelenskyy, Donald Trump, and J.D. Vance. I thought it was a you-know-what show. And I thought it was beyond disrespect. The question asking him about why don't you wear a suit with Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, and just begging for an apology. What was your take on that whole thing?
I mean, it was the most honestly gutting and embarrassing and enraging. Like the way I described it in real time was I felt simultaneously like I wanted to throw up, scream, punch someone, and cry. All of those things at the same time, because it felt surreal. It felt like I was watching something like a fiction, because I couldn't believe that it was actually unfolding. And I'll say, again, just on a personal level, I have had the incredible honor and privilege, which is like this thing that I get to say out loud, of being able to step foot in that office. I was there in the end of December, incredibly privileged to have been invited by President Biden to go to the Oval Office. And standing there in that room and feeling the weight, the reverence, the importance of that space, knowing how many decisions that have impacted the shape of our own history, but world history, were made in there, how many consequential leaders have been in that room, the sort of deliberate nature of everything about that space, to see it degraded to this place where he's admonishing and taunting and teasing a Democratic ally, and with Marjorie Taylor Greene's freaking pig-nosed boyfriend picking at him like he's like a freaking vulture. I mean, it was repugnant, but it was also just honestly just gutting, because we have fallen so far so fast in terms of our position and our world standing. And now that we're aligning with Russia against our democratic allies. Make no mistake, like that's what's happening. And I keep thinking about that greatest generation, right? That this same side will say, and rightfully so, that these were heroes that stood up against fascism. And here they are just handing it on a silver platter in our own Oval Office, in our own White House in 2025. Like, how did they square those two things?
Yeah. And Joe, you know, the incredible thing is that if this was the only thing that was going on, it would still be an enormous story and we'd be talking about it 24/7, but it's not. No. I mean, you look at what's, and I agree with everything you said. You look at what's transpired in the last 24 hours with these tariffs, and you look at a real leader. I look at Trudeau. People can say what they want about him, but his speech this morning, I said to myself, that is a real leader. He was honest. He was passionate, and he was also respectful. He was speaking to his own people, and he was always also speaking to Americans, and he was respectful. And I don't blame him for these retaliatory tariffs. And what Donald Trump is doing, to Mexico, to Canada with these tariffs, I mean, first of all, the Dow fell almost 600 points today. That would be a huge story because of these tariffs. And we're all going to suffer for it. Why is it that these MAGA morons don't see it?
Cognitive dissonance, right? Like, so they can't see it. No, I often think like every time he does something, they just keep moving the line because they are dug in so deep now that it's a cult, first of all, that they can't see what's right in front of them. I mean, this is not winning. This is going to hurt all of them. This is already hurting all of us, whether or not it's the stock market or what he's done to our public health and safety, to the economy, to the price of goods and services, the price of everything. I mean, I heard yesterday that at least like $1,200 per person has been added to how much it's just going to cost in a year to do the things we're already doing. So they cannot face that they are not winning and that this doesn't own us libs, because they can't, because it's looking inward in a very uncomfortable way. And also, for a lot of them, unfortunately, he still says all the hateful things that they think that's all they need. So as long as he hates who they hate, then they feel seen and they'll go along with anything. And we're looking at it. We're aligned with Russia, and they're like, that's us.
Joe, that's what's sick is that he continues to coddle an evil, murderous dictator. Yes, Joe Biden did call him that when he was president. And yet he calls Zelenskyy a dictator. He says Ukraine started this. And I see all these MAGA Republicans curling up into a pretzel defending those statements. I mean, yesterday, I played some of the audio yesterday on CNN where Bruce Blakeman called Zelenskyy a thug. Scott Jennings was supporting the fact that Zelenskyy should have been wearing a tie. Laura Ingram said that Zelenskyy dressed up like Captain Spock when this guy could live a lavish lifestyle. Instead, he's in the bunker fighting a war and caring about his own people and wanting this war to end. But he also doesn't want to bow down to a dictator. And back in 2018, there was an agreement that Putin broke. So why should Zelenskyy believe Putin? And I don't understand why MAGA Republicans can't understand that. Why should we just trust Vladimir Putin? It seems like the only person that does is Donald Trump.
Yeah, they do understand that. What the difference is that they're too feckless and too cowardly to stand up and hold that principle, right? This is the problem. They do understand exactly what you just said. And as for the way Zelenskyy dressed, there have been lots of historical pictures of Winston Churchill going to the White House in like a jumpsuit, like a flight suit, not in a suit. And Zelenskyy dresses the way he does to show solidarity with the soldiers who are fighting and dying on the front lines for his country. Donald Trump dresses like a fucking asshole, pardon my French, because he is one. So like let's talk about the way that he dresses. But I would rather judge a man by the character, by his character, than by what he's wearing. And that Brian, what's his name? What is her boyfriend's name? What's
Brian Glenn, I think.
Brian Glenn. You can wear a suit and still look like a slob. The guy doesn't wear a suit and look classy. Right. I mean, Donald Trump's tie goes down to his friggin' knees. It's not exactly like the stint. He wears lifts in his shoes. He wears a friggin' diaper and a girdle. He was wearing 72 layers of cake makeup. Like, you're gonna judge Zelenskyy, who's in a war-torn country, for wearing, a very nice sweater, by the way, and slacks to show solidarity, but you're gonna let a guy, well, at least the joke is that JD Vance is wearing makeup too, but a guy in face paint, like honest to God theatrical makeup, that's the measure of like respect for the office. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, I agree with you 150%. Jojo from Jersey, Joanna Carducci joining us right now. And moving forward, Jojo, I said to myself after Trump won, obviously I was very disappointed as you were, but I said, all right, we got to get through this as a country. We're going to find a way to get through this as a country together. It's going to suck, but we're going to get through it. I am not at that point now. I mean, I've been at that point for the last several weeks. I don't know how we're going to get through this as a country, and it's going to take decades and decades to recover. And now MAGA Republicans, some of whom are trying to pass bills to allow Donald Trump to run for a third term. They're talking about him being on Mount Rushmore. And really doing a good job of doing the things that most Americans really care about. They're not addressing inflation. They're not addressing, the real core issues fundamentally, but they're talking about him on Mount Rushmore. I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah. putting him on the what $10,000 bill, whatever the hell it was.
Yes.
I don't even know. Whatever. No, right. Those are all the big shiny objects to distract you from the fact that they're not actually doing any of the things that they promised, which is another reason why they're not going to hold town halls anymore. From up on high, from Mike Johnson, the directive is no more town halls, because what was happening, what gives me hope, Brian, in this moment, what was happening is that these very red districts and these congressional representatives in these very red districts are being met with real protest, not Soros-funded protest. Ironically, like you said, they'll conflate like who's actually a protester versus who's an attacker and who's actually real and who's fake, because apparently, according to them, the January 6th attackers were peaceful, but the people who are protesting at the town halls are deep state paid actors. Like this is like, it's always, every accusation is a confession, but still it's ridiculous. But that actually is the thing that does give me hope. And I know that it seems like, holy shit, like this is going to be insurmountable. And honestly, we've been cleaning up Trump's mess for the last 4 years. So the mess that he's made now and the damage that he's done to our relationships around the globe are going to be the work of generations, if they can even be repaired at all. But for this moment, the American people are still they are very much voicing their opinions, and polling is showing Donald Trump is sliding very quickly and he's underwater. Doge is unpopular. A lot of these things he does not have a mandate to do. They're gaslighting the American people into believing that this is the majority of the American people who voted for this. That's flatly untrue. They have a plurality to begin with, but it's also not the majority of the American people. It's the plurality of the voters, not the majority of the American people. And these are unpopular ideas. Getting rid of the Department of Education, wildly unpopular. So that is something they're threatening to do. Linda McMahon has promised to dismantle the agency she was put in charge of, which is insane. And a lot of these policies hit his voters the hardest. And so they're going to try and shut down that communication. But at the end of the day, the power is still in our laps. And until they cancel the midterm elections, which I know they will try, until they are successful in doing that, we have to act like every single day. Plus, we have 3 special election seats coming up that we can actually use to stop them, block them, and potentially flip the House and take that majority.
Yes,
So,
and no question.
Yeah, the red districts, they're not impossible. Nothing.
Yeah,
impossible.
the midterms are really, really important. I wanted to ask you, your perspective as a mother. What do you make of Elon Musk using his children, in this case, one specific child, as a prop? There are people around him that he's even admitted that he uses this child in a way as a prop. We've seen in some instances where he's walking away, leaves his child behind. I mean, and again, we've heard, the 13th alleged child that he has out there with St. Clair, who I think is a despicable human being. But at the same time, like, what do you make this as a mother, the way Elon Musk just treats family, in this case, his children? What do you make of that?
I mean, they're commodities, right? I mean, I would argue that that's the same for Donald Trump. And this is what narcissists do, but this is also what sexual predators do and serial abusers do. I mean, I remember when the story broke out, Elon Musk giving somebody a horse for like sex or for some kind of, I don't even know what it was, some woman. Wow. But these are 2 dudes who have like 16 kids or 17 kids between how many women, like 6 or 7 women. And they hold themselves up to be the party of family values, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they're props. And it's the commodities, and it's absolutely pathetic because my children are my why. They are genuinely my why. And I know that I'm not the only person in this country for whom that is true. Sure. Their futures, fighting for their futures, protecting my daughter's rights to bodily autonomy, protecting their ability to participate in democracy so that, they can have a voice, and that the generations that follow them can have a voice. We can continue to work towards perfecting this union. They're my genuine why. I don't need to put them on my shoulder every day. I don't need to have them picking their nose in front of the Resolute desk and telling the president of the United States that he's not the president. I don't need them to do any of those things. I don't need to use them as shields for whatever nonsense I think I need to protect myself from, which is just fucking macabre. But I need them to motivate me, genuinely motivate me, because I can't quit my fight. None of us can quit this fight, because we are working towards ensuring a better future for our children. And the way that they utilize them as commodities and props and shields is really just reprehensible, but not at all surprising.
Not at all surprising. So I do want to talk about the Democrats with you momentarily here, because I do have some criticism for them as well. I think Tim Walz is a really nice guy. I don't think anybody reasonably wants him to run for president of the United States. It didn't work out. And I think there are some rising stars within the party. We've named them on this show, whether it be a Jasmine Crockett, whether it be a Josh Shapiro. There are some talented people within the party.
Sure,
But
tons.
yeah, absolutely. But I am disappointed with some of the leadership. I don't think they're aggressive enough. I think they're playing too nice. I think Hakeem Jeffries is a very educated man. I have a lot of respect for him, but I don't think he's the right guy for the job right now. And we need to see more Democrats stand up to this tyrant. We need to see more Democrats speak truth to power. And there are some, and there are rising stars out there, but I don't think there are enough, and it needs to start now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it needed to start in November, right?
Right.
They are woefully late to this party, and I too am looking around, wondering the same things. I know that the people who interact with my content are looking at me and asking me the same questions all the time. There are a handful of people who are out there standing up, but they're not working closely enough with the people who can really amplify the work that they're doing, that it's making enough of an impact. We need to stop bringing a butter knife to a blowtorch fight because, or a flamethrower fight, because that's kind of what we're doing right now. And Democrats are playing by old rules. And we can't be playing by those old rules anymore. I mean, unfortunately, I know that we don't want to get down in the mud because the pigs, like it, but that's where the fight is. And you have to, sometimes you have to meet the fight where it is. That's where it is. We don't have a second to lose. There's absolutely no reason to be behaving as if we can utilize traditional means of negotiation to talk to these people or to bridge some kind of chasm with these people. I mean, the chasm is Hades. Like, you can't reach across Hades and be like, let's make a deal. I mean, you just can't. And so we have to stop operating under that assumption. But also, they should be out there putting, like you said, putting candidates in our faces all the time, because the midterms have already started. Those elections are well underway. They've been underway since November. If you don't embrace that, you're going to be caught again behind. And we can't afford that. So I think I like Tim Walz as well. I love Kamala Harris. I think we don't need to relitigate some of the things that we've been through as a country and as a party. I think that part of the problem was that we had some difficulty messaging to people where they were. And I think that we have, people in the party who are much more adept at doing that. And we need to lean into that. We need to lean into youth. We need to lean into talking to people the way you talk to each other. And I think that that's a problem that the Democratic Party needs to address and move away from. So we have a lot of work to do, and they need to get up to speed faster.
I agree. Last question for you, Jojo. Had David Pakman on the show a few weeks ago, and I've talked to, Don Lemon and others on and off the air. They're all concerned. They're concerned, and you have a huge platform as they do. And they're concerned that Donald Trump is going to go after them. It could be legal ramifications. It could be audits. It could be harassment. It could be, lawsuits, you name it. I'm wondering if you feel the same way, because it feels like to me that Donald Trump and his attorneys are going to make our lives miserable, especially somebody like you with an enormous platform that is extremely opinionated and outspoken. Are you worried about that? And what have you heard about that?
Well, I don't see a lot of utility in worrying about that which, first of all, has not befallen me, but also that which I can't control. Because then I'm spinning my wheels and spending my time and energy worried about what they may or may not do versus worried about going after them for what they are actually doing. So I try to spend more of my time and energy focused on actually addressing what is happening before our very eyes. Do I think that they would hesitate? Do I think that any of them would hesitate in 1 millisecond to go after their adversaries in any way, shape, or form? I mean, this is a party that's threatening litigation and charges against AOC right now. Okay.
Right.
Well, also, these aren't hypotheticals. Donald Trump did use any arm of the government he could to go after his critics and adversaries in the past. He's used the IRS infamously against Andy McCabe and James Comey and others. He tried to get Bill Barr to go after his adversaries. He went after Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen ended up in prison. I mean, I don't think that retribution of any kind is off the table when it comes to Donald Trump. But what they very much want people like me to do is to live in fear. And what they're hoping the fear will do is silence us. And that's when they win. So until and unless, God forbid, that is a reality that I need to contend with. And believe me, my subconscious understands this, because I do have my fair share of nightmares that paint scenarios that aren't along these lines. I just don't see the utility in giving them the satisfaction of using it to keep me quiet or to make me feel afraid.
Well, I think that's the right attitude. I think it's one thing to be a little concerned, but we got to keep doing what we're doing, right, Jojo? Yeah. And you have a wonderful podcast. I love your commentary, your truthfulness, and you're also extremely funny. And I've been following you for years, so I'm lucky to call you friend. I appreciate you coming on as always. Let's keep up the good fight, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you, and you're doing amazing work as always. And thank you for having me on. Thank you for being my friend out there in this world.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot. There you go, everybody. Jojo from Jersey. I've been following her on social media for years. She is the best. And God, I so appreciate it when she comes on. She is so smart and so honest, and at times extremely funny too, and entertaining. So she's a great follow. If you don't follow her, please do. I do want to go back to the super chat. And I will remind all of you that this is an independently owned radio show. So what does that mean? It means that we rely on good people like you to help support what we do. There's a couple things you can do, starting with the YouTube super chat. Vegas Paul, thank you so much for your donation. We appreciate you. Donated $20. Said, always sounding good, Brian. Could you please stop using MAGA? It emboldens them. Phone Senator Catherine Cortez Masto and suggested the Dems go nuts and call out Trump for his BS. Well, I'm glad you did that. I think Catherine Cortez Masto is a good leader. And I'm glad you did that. If you don't want me to use MAGA, I would ask you, what word would you like me to use? Cultists? There are other words that I could use, but I will take that into account. We appreciate your support. So you can go on the YouTube super chat. Another great way of supporting what we do is going on my personal website for the show, which is pushingthelimits.live. So at pushingthelimits.live, we do sell merchandise on there, shirts, hats. My personal favorite is the Don't Be a Right-Wing Buffoon shirt. We sell mugs, all sorts of different things up there. We're not selling Bibles. I want to be very clear on that. As you see it on the bottom of the screen, pushingthelimits.live. But if you don't want to buy merchandise, that's okay. You can also make a donation. Doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you can afford. Whatever you can afford, we greatly appreciate. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. So we appreciate you for doing that. Thank you, Tina, for your support and your donation on the YouTube super chat. Tina says the bully is now a dictator, and we needed more warriors speaking up in the Democrat Party. Tina, I could not agree with you more. It's why I just brought that up with Jojo, and it's why I bring it up on this show every day. It's time for the Democrats to step up. Part of the reason why we're in this situation is because Democrats have been unable to convince the American people, at least the majority of them who voted for Donald Trump. So Democrats need to change the playbook. They need to be more aggressive. And I completely agree with you. All right, so here's what we are going to do. It is the most interactive show out there. Find another show that's more interactive than this one, right? MAGA callers are welcome. Here's what I am asking all of you. Donald Trump is going to be making a speech tonight. He is going to be sharing his grievances. He is going to be probably attacking Vladimir Zelenskyy. He will not be saying anything negative about Putin. He's going to be trying to defend these tariffs and talking about how it's in the long run, it's going to be great for the American people. But right now we're going to suffer a little bit. He's going to try to make the case to you, and he's going to lie while the world is on fire, while there is no peace deal. And the situation right now is worse off in the Middle East than it was 6 weeks ago. The situation in Ukraine is worse off now than it was 6 weeks ago. We got all these plane crashes everywhere. We got inflation that has skyrocketed. We got the Dow that's down 600 points today. The country's on fire. The world is on fire. And I do think a lot of that has to do with Donald Trump, his behavior and his actions. Am I wrong, or do you agree with me? What do you want to hear in this speech tonight? What do you think you're going to hear in this speech tonight? The number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, now's the time to do so. That number is 702-221-7283. All right. Your calls are going to be next here in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yousafzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part, every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call, 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
It's time to wake up and win the weekend. You're listening to the boss of the big ball. Giving you that grease. Join me every Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time for the live action on Vegas Scoreboard Express on KSHP 107.1 FM and AM 1400. Dive into the game day with my in-depth analysis, expert predictions, and winning plays from the sharpest minds in sports betting. It's more than just placing bets. It's about securing wins. Head over to jbtheticket.com and be sure to tune in to KSHP this weekend from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time to ride the winning wave with VSX. Tune in and get your money back from the sports book. All money, all sports, no pull. Miss the live show? Subscribe to Vegas Scoreboard Express on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and wherever you enjoy your favorite podcast and radio listening.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. The great John Ralston from The Independent will be joining us tomorrow on the program. He's moderated presidential debates, so I'm really looking forward to having him join us and ask him what he makes of this nonsense. My thanks to Jojo from Jers. Isn't she fantastic? Appreciate her joining us on the program as well. And in a few moments here, we'll be taking your phone calls at 702-221-7283, which is the number to call. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Aura. If you don't know about Aura, well, you should, because it's the smart and simple way to stay safe online. They're involved in digital safety for the whole family, protection from identity theft, fraud, and online threats. I've received some of those before, so this is important. Big companies sometimes have poor security, as we know, and they get hacked almost on a daily basis. So what you're going to notice on the bottom of the screen right there is a link that you can use. If you look at it at the bottom of the screen, aura.com/PTL, and you're going to get a 14-day free trial just from listening to this show as a PTL listener. Listen, your personal information can be sold to scammers all over the world. Have you ever been the victim of a data breach? I know I have. That's why Aura can help you with this. Just give them a few weeks, less spam, so much more. They have $5 million in identity theft insurance, VPN with over 100 virtual locations. Again, that link on the bottom. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable to data breaches. Go to my sponsor, which is aura.com/PTL for that free 14-day trial, and give it a shot. I promise you won't be disappointed. Thank you very much. All right, so I did promise we would get back to, or I should say get to the phone calls, but I want to get back to the YouTube Super Chat. The Weirdo, which is a great name, by the way. The Weirdo says, and thank you for your donation, hey, brother, 25% tariff raises car prices 10,000. You're 100% correct. I've talked about that before. That's why I'm working voluntary overtime at my assembly plant, because I can see downtime coming. 66 hours last week, 76 hours this week. My goodness. Well, thank you so much for doing that. You are a true patriot. I will say that. And really appreciate you and your support. Also want to go to the pushingthelimits.live website. Mark decided to make a donation. Mark, we appreciate you. Mark says, I love the show. Well, I love you back, brother. And I appreciate you as well as Rose. Rose says, keep up the good work, Brian. I've never hated anyone the way I hate that clown. I think she's referring to Cheeto Jesus. I could be wrong on that. Thank you for your donation. We really appreciate you and all those in the super chat. Keep them coming. We'll continue to read your questions and comments live on the air. All right. There's a reason why we're the most interactive show. We get calls not only all over the country, but all over the world, quite frankly. And I want to go to Canada right from the get-go because obviously with these 25% tariffs, I want to hear from my Canadians out there, our neighbors. Let's start off with Ryan. Ryan is calling from Canada. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Good.
Good. Well, the first thing I want to say is, we're sorry that we have to retaliate this way, and that may sound super Canadian of us, but yeah, we've got to retaliate. This is absolutely asinine, and we're a pretty polite group of people, but when you piss us off, we're going to stand up for ourselves.
Can I ask you, by the way, I agree with what you just said.
Yeah.
I thought Trudeau showed some leadership qualities today. And that's what a real leader, he was not just talking to people like you. He was talking to people like me too. And it really resonated with me. And I'm like, this is an intelligent man. He showed compassion. I think he showed honesty. He explained to everybody how bad these tariffs are, not just for Canadians, but for America.
Yeah.
He also explained that you guys don't have hatred in your heart when you're not booing us. You're booing Donald Trump, which I understand. I just thought he laid it out, but he also showed strength. And he showed he is not going to bend the knee to Donald Trump, and he is not going to allow Donald Trump to bully him. And I think other world leaders are also going to take notice. That was my interpretation. What was yours?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as much as we, the general population in Canada have had issues with Justin over the last few years, his statement this morning was exactly what I would have wanted to have seen. And additionally, even after that disaster last Friday in the Oval Office with Zelenskyy, Trudeau was out very quickly afterwards to be very clear that we support Ukraine, and that, Zelenskyy is not a dictator and that Russia's the aggressor here.
Yeah.
So we are absolutely. And in fact, even Doug Ford, who's now, the Premier of Ontario, I very rarely agree with Doug Ford on anything, but his speech, both yesterday threatening to shut off the lights in New York and today in response, were absolutely appropriate. We're going to be your best buddy and we'll go to war with you.
All I can tell you, my friend, is this. I agree. All I can tell you, my friend, in closing is this, and this is to all Canadians. I'm so sorry that we have so many stupid people in the United States of America. And I'm so sorry that we got to a point in this country where we're in a situation now where Donald Trump cares more about his ego than harming so many people around the world, in Canada and here in the United States. I'm so sorry. There are so many morons in this country that are still pro Donald Trump. They're idiots at this point. I'm sorry. I have no other words. I've had it.
Yeah.
At this point, if there are Americans in this country that still support this man, you are an absolute imbecile. And I am sorry that there are so many of those people in the United States of America, my friend. I truly am.
Yeah. Well, we're sorry too, and we agree with you. Keep up the fight, man.
Thank you for the call, my friend. I really do appreciate you. Thank you. All right, who are we going to do next here? Let's go to, I love my Canadian callers, by the way. You always are welcome on this show to come on. Let's go to Shelley, who's calling out of West Virginia. Hi, Shelley.
Hey, Brian. I've got a few things. It will be more of American carnage. He'll blame everything on Biden, and he'll say help for Ukraine is over. He'll talk crap about Zelenskyy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
He will not talk about the Dow because it's been down for the last 2 or 3 days. He will not talk about that.
Or if he's asked about it anywhere along the press, he'll blame Joe Biden or somebody else.
Exactly. And this is specifically for JD. He will know the exact moment and at what angle to bend over.
Yeah, well, that's one way of putting it, Shelley. And I'm with you, Shelley. You brought a smile on my face. I think you're right about that. We'll have to wait and see what happens tonight. Obviously, we'll have full coverage of the speech, and I'll be talking about it tomorrow. But I think Shelley is right. We know what's going to happen here. Thank you to Millie, who made a nice donation on the Super Chat. Really appreciate you, Millie, and your generosity. Thank you so much. She went on the YouTube Super Chat. You could also go to pushingthelimits.live and make donations and buy merchandise on there. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to, who are we going to next? Twos is calling out of California. Hello, Twos.
How you doing, Brian?
Hey, good. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, Nunchuck, Jojo. Thank you for all you're doing as a veteran. I appreciate it for sure.
Well, thank you for your service, my friend. We appreciate you. You're a hero.
I would like to give just a slight amount of pushback to the Democratic Party's concepts and ideas and stuff that they think they're coming up with.
Sure, let's hear it.
Here's the issue. The issue is never the messaging. All right, that's not the problem. The problem is Americans are generally not intellectual enough to capture these concepts on a greater scale.
Yep.
So they don't really care about anything until it literally hits them in the nose. I mean, you could wave it like a millimeter off their nose. They're not going to be bothered. They'll see it there, but they'll just imagine it's not there. It's not until it hits them right in the schnoz.
Yeah, I think
that they're going to care.
So here's what I'll say. Can I
bothered to do any research or investment or even listen?
Okay, can I respond? Let me just respond to that real quickly, and then I want you to continue. Okay, so I think that is certainly the case with more Republicans than Democrats. What do I mean by that? Well, there are a lot of MAGA Republicans out there that have voted for Donald Trump, and now you see a lot of them in these town halls throughout the country, some of whom have lost their jobs, and now all of a sudden they're upset. I do believe there are a lot of people on the other side and a lot of independents like myself who knew this was coming. So I understand what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm just saying that the mass of it, the majority of a lot of how a lot of American ingrained culture is very
okay. So let me ask you.
So remember Bill Hicks? And
yes,
stuff,
of course. So too, I want to ask you a question now. Give me the messaging, and I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot here, but if you're Hakeem Jeffries today, or you are a Democrat that is going to be giving a response to Donald Trump's speech tonight, and by the way, we all know what he's going to say. I want to hear from you in general terms, maybe in under a minute if you can. What is the messaging you would tell the American people from the left side of things, or even the anti-Trump side of things too? What would you tell?
So if I was Hakeem,
yes.
Okay, as if I was Hakeem, well, the first thing I would do is I wouldn't even enter the room. I wouldn't even allow any of my Democrats to enter the room. We're not even entering the room. We're not even going to give this guy a second more of our time. And instead, I'm going to tell the American people that from this moment, every day, I'm going to show you every illegal action, everything they try to hide for you. And I'm not only going to put it in bold letters, but I'm going to make sure that every media company gets it directly from the hands of one of these senators or congressmen, so they can't ignore it. And if they ignore it, the people are going to hear about that because we're going to tell them, oh, no, we gave them that. That's all right there. It's this. Remember this, Sally? You really wanted your food for your kid. You can't have that because your representative lied to you, your news organization lied to you, and now you're here.
So I'm gonna can I take it a step
this?
further? I want to to what you just said. I think I agree with it, but here's instead of just not showing up, you could tell me if you disagree with this. I think they show up, and maybe 20 or 30 seconds into the speech, they all get up.
Too much. You're giving the man too much.
Okay, I agree.
You're giving him too much.
But hold on. Hear me out.
He wants you to come in
but hold on.
have a show.
Okay, but hold on.
You don't have any show.
Okay, but hear me out. I hear what you're saying, but hear me out.
He hates empty seats more than anything else.
I agree.
Leave
So
them empty.
okay, so just hear me out on this. You show up, and then maybe a minute or two into the speech, you get up and you walk out. Here's what this.
All right. I'm a man of compromise, Brian.
Okay, but hear me out though. Hold on.
We should put in some blow-up dolls in their places.
Well, maybe depends which blow-up doll.
How about that? So he doesn't have an empty seat, but there's nobody actually there.
Okay, that's funny.
He loves blow-up dolls.
You know what? I think he does. But hear me out on this.
Isn't that his whole administration?
Let me just finish here, okay? But hold on. The reason why I say show up and walk out after 1 or 2 minutes is because Donald Trump wants all the attention. the attention will go towards the Democrats, and Republicans will be angry. But the
Or the
media,
Black Dolls.
but the Republicans will be angry, but the media will be focusing on that, and then the Democrats will have a voice to explain why they walked out. It will take out the air in the room, and I think that now, listen, we can compromise either or. I would be okay with, but here's the problem: they're not going to do it. They're not going to show a backbone, and they're not going to do it. And I don't want to hear this stuff. Well, you have to have decorum, and it would be disrespectful. No, can you throw all that crap out the window? Throw it out the window. The world
They haven't followed decorum in years.
I agree, and the world is on fire right now. The country is on fire right now. You want to talk about the proper decorum or what Zelenskyy was wearing? We have decided, when I say we, I mean MAGA Republicans, it's not me, have decided right now that we are not going to defend Ukraine. We're not going to stand by Ukraine. He's put a stop to military support. We've got a trade war going on. We've got Canada that has implemented these retaliatory tariffs. We've got federal workers that are losing their jobs all over the country. It's a joke. Yes, so I do believe that Democrats should walk out today. Yes, I do believe that they should stop playing nice, and this should be day one, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They should, and I agree with you too. They should, but they won't. Donald Trump has stated that he plans to announce a minerals deal with Ukraine during his speech to Congress. Big deal. Doesn't change the fact that he has stopped military support for Ukraine, and it doesn't change the fact that he is still kissing the rear of Vladimir Putin. What do I want to hear? I want to hear him call Putin a murderous dictator. I want to hear him correct himself and say, no, Ukraine did not start this war. But he won't do that. Democrats, walk the hell out. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to join the conversation. Why don't we go to Pat? If I'm not mistaken, Pat is calling out of Michigan. Hi, Pat. Thanks for calling in to PTL. What's on your mind today, Pat?
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Thank you for what you do. You give hope to all of us. You are so important to
I appreciate
this
that.
mission.
Thank you.
I think what you're going to hear from Trump is a lot of ridiculing of President Zelenskyy and a bunch of vague justifications for their gang rape of him on Friday.
Yeah.
He's just going to try to justify it all. And that's what you're going to hear. And he's going to say, we're going to do a bunch of really good things and it's going to be really big. And he won't say anything.
I think
of
you're
any
right.
substance.
I think you're right.
That's what he does.
I think he's very predictable, and I agree with you. He's going to probably praise Putin. He's probably going to attack Zelenskyy a little bit more. He's going to attack Trudeau. He's going to talk about how somehow these tariffs are going to help us in the long run, not hurt us. He's going to defend the indefensible. He's going to attack migrants. He's probably going to be talking about banning more books and how terrible transgender surgery is. So I agree with you. We know exactly what's going to happen, but it's the Democrat response that I want to see. Do you agree with me, and do you agree with our last caller? The Democrats should walk out in the middle of this speech.
Absolutely. I think that was such an excellent suggestion. I would love to see it. I don't think we will, but you know what would be even more icing on the cake is if a couple of Republicans got up and walked out too.
There's only a few that
things are starting to turn.
Yeah, but not for not for many of the. Okay, so let me say it this way. I could see somebody like a Mitt Romney doing that. You know, I can see somebody. I can't think of a lot of Republicans that would do that. Maybe there's a few, because they know that their career is over if they do that.
That's true.
And so,
well,
I don't know if we'll see
go
that.
ahead. I would like to see when this is all said and done, I think we're going to see some kind of a war. I call what we're doing right now a war.
Everything's on the table. I'm not going to say that
I think when it's all said and done, I think that we should be able to hold all these people, Trump, Musk, J.D. Vance, Caroline Levitt, or whatever her name is, Levitt, the members of Congress that are allowing this to happen. I think they're all war criminals. They're allowing this to happen.
I don't disagree. I certainly don't disagree with you. This is and speaking of criminals, Donald J. Trump on his lie social said, please explain to Governor Trudeau of Canada that when he puts on a retaliatory tariff on the U.S., he goes on to say reciprocal tariffs will immediately increase. So basically what Donald Trump is doing now is he's talking about more tariffs for Canada because of the retaliatory tariffs. I mean, this is not going to end well for either America or Canada. Thank you, Kathy, by the way, for your support of the show and your YouTube super chat donation. Kathy says, I disagree. Dems need to go and heckle the crap out of Trump and Republicans. Get those signs and call them liars like Representative Joe Wilson did to Obama and then walk out. How should I respond to that, Kathy? Maybe, but here's the thing. That's an extreme. Maybe. I think they're not going to do that. There's a better chance that they walk out, and they probably won't do that either. Let's start somewhere. I understand where you're going with that. I think it's time to get in the mud with these MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump. So I can understand why you would say that. Maybe. But I understand why you would say that. I really do. Robert went on pushingthelimits.live and made a donation. Robert, we really appreciate you. Robert says, thanks for being a voice for the voiceless. Well, Robert, you're always going to have a voice on this show. All of you will always have a voice on this show, and you're always welcome to call in. And thank you so much for your donation. Without people like you, this show does not happen. So thank you. I guess that's the new question I'm asking. Do you think Democrats should just walk out today? Kathy took it a step further and bringing signs in there. I'm kind of iffy on that one, but I do think they all should walk out, because if there's anything Donald Trump hates, it's when the attention is not on him. The attention would go to the Democrats and they would have a stronger voice. They're not going to do that because a lot of them have no backbone. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Buddy, who's calling out of Indiana. Hey, Buddy, what's going on?
Oh, hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind, buddy?
Well, I don't know. It's just so frustrating. There seems like there should be something that somebody could do to overthrow him. I mean, I've heard people suggest, the military should go in and bodily take them all out of the White House.
But buddy,
I don't understand none of this. I'm a Democrat.
I understand
from the very get-go. And I'm almost ashamed to be one, almost the way they're acting.
But buddy, I hear you. I hear your frustration. I'm with you, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Well, we got to keep up the hope, though. It would be great if they made some kind of statement tonight or did the walkout.
Right.
But what's it going to take to finally get them off their butts? And
I'm going to tell you. They need to. That's a very good question that you just asked.
Thank you.
The reason why so many Republicans kiss the rear of Donald Trump because they're afraid of losing power. Let's do the same.
I know that.
Listen, let's do the same with some of these Democrats that have no backbone. We're going to vote you out unless you stand up to Trump. We want you to be like Jasmine Crockett. We want you to be like Eric Swalwell. Okay. We want you to be like Goldman. We want you to be like Moskowitz. If you're not going to stand up to Trump and do more interviews and speak up, then we are going to vote you out of office. I think that's the thing that would work overnight with many of these Democrats. And I would like to know, why won't they walk out? They should be asked the question today. Are you willing to walk out in the middle of his speech? And if they give an answer like, well, we can't show that sort of disrespect for the office, then we're going to vote you out of office, because all he does is disrespect you. All he does is disrespect this country and our military and Gold Star families and women. All he does is disrespect us and leaders of other countries. It's time that we start disrespecting him, and it starts with those that are in Washington, D.C., and it should start tonight.
Great. I agree. I'm at a loss for words, for the most part, but I hope something happens to give it a change sooner rather than later. I did see something funny on the video, though. It was an AI video, and it was when Trump was, telling him about starting a war and everything, and they AI'd it, and
I saw that. Yeah, I saw the AI. Listen, I'm not going to condone violence, but what I will condone is showing disrespect for Donald Trump. I've had enough. The Democrats need to walk the hell out of there. Because it's Donald Trump's worst fear, right? The attention won't be on him. the attention will be on the Democrats. The media will want to speak to those Democrats that walked out, even if it's not all of them, right in the middle. Or even worse, get 10 or 15 Democrats to walk out every 5 minutes. That's what I think they should do. We are at that point now. Becky on the YouTube super chat, thank you so much for your generous donation. Becky says the Democrats should walk out and flip off Trump and Musk on their way out. That might be an extreme, but Becky, hear me out on this. Let's start with step one. And step one is walk out. The signs, the flipping off, they're not going to do that. I don't even think they're going to walk out. We should be demanding the Democrats walk out. And the gentleman who called in, Twos, I believe his name was, is right. The Democrats need to walk out. Let's forget about everything else for now. I get why you would say that, but I personally believe that's what they should be doing tonight. And I'm in fear they're not going to do that. They'll sit there and they won't clap, but they shouldn't even be there. And I don't want to hear about decorum, and I don't want to hear about any of that stuff when Marjorie Taylor Greene walks in there decked out in her Butch Bod Trump gear. Okay, stop it with the decorum stuff. That is out the frickin' window. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. I believe we have a Dorothy. Dorothy on line 5 is calling out of Florida. Hi, Dorothy. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. What's on your mind, Dorothy?
Congratulations on the good show you're putting on.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
My question, and you're saying the Democrats just roll over and play dead. They play too nice.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get up. They need to start working. It don't make sense. They should go, because we all know what Donald Trump is going to say tonight. They should go in and talk, pre him what he's going to say. Because we know this man and we know what he's capable of doing.
Yeah. No, you're right, but I don't think they're...
Walk out, let him start and just walk out. We are playing it too nice for the longest while. It's not that we alone want just peace. He ain't playing it fair. He ain't playing right. So why are we rolling over all this time and play dead?
It's a very fair question that you ask, and I asked the same question. And I think listen, if you said to Eric Swalwell or Jasmine Crockett, you guys need to walk out in the middle of the speech, I guarantee you they would agree. The problem is there are too many Democrats that play nice, and that's part of the reason why Donald Trump got back into office. If you don't mind me asking, are you from Ireland by chance?
No, I'm from
Jamaica. Okay, I got my accents mixed up a little bit. So you're from Jamaica. What do Jamaicans think about Donald Trump? What do they think?
Just like how I'm thinking. Because a lot of them they deport, right?
Yeah.
So they're thinking just like me. You know what I wish? I wish we have 10 more. They should clone Jasmine Crockett.
Yes.
Because only she alone has the backbone.
Mm-hmm.
To me.
I think there's a few others. I agree with you, but I think...
a few others.
Yeah,
but
you're
she's
right.
the only one who really can stand up to any one of them.
All right, can you do something for me, my dear?
Sure.
I love your accent. Can you repeat after me? You Americans are buffoons, right-wing buffoons, if you voted for Donald Trump. Is there any way you can enlighten me with that beautiful accent that you have?
You right-wing Americans are buffoons.
I love it. I should play that on my show every day. That's so beautiful. I love your accent, my dear.
They're real buffoons, to be honest with you.
They are.
They are buffoons.
They are buffoons. You're right. That's one of my favorite words. And to hear somebody with a lovely accent like yourself say it makes me smile, my dear. I want you to call back. And when you call back, I want you to keep calling them buffoons. Okay. Is that fair?
Okay, Brian, you have a wonderful day, my dear, and keep up the good job.
You do, sweetie. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. I love my people over there in Jamaica. I love the accent. And when I hear them call Donald Trump a buffoon and buffoons who voted for him, it makes me smile. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. All right, we got Steve, who's calling out of West Virginia. What's up, Steve?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
I have a few thoughts. When the Democrats go into the chamber, maybe they can borrow a bunch of Zelensky's uniforms and they can all wear one.
Oh, would that be a great... God, I love the ideas you guys are coming up with. So what this gentleman is saying is when they go into the chambers today, dress up like Vladimir Zelensky. God, would that be great? That's such a great idea. They won't do it, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, and then I have about 2 million other things I'd rather do than watch him tonight.
Yeah.
But on another thought,
yeah.
I see on Facebook a lot that people don't realize why Ukraine is so vulnerable. In 1994, they gave up all their nuclear weapons in exchange for us to protect them.
That was the deal that was put in place. And by the way, what did Russia give us?
Nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. Nothing. And then Zelensky's supposed to believe Putin when they had a deal in place when Joe Biden was in office. They had a deal, or I'm sorry, when Trump was in office in the first administration, they had a deal in place, and then Putin broke the deal, and all of a sudden Zelensky's supposed to bow down. Oh, we believe you, Mr. Putin. Are you kidding me? That's what Trump expects out of Zelensky. Are you kidding me?
And not only that, but they have to give up minerals for us to do whatever we're going to do.
Right.
When we already agreement years ago.
Yeah. Would you ask the Jews right after Nazi Germany and Hitler? Do you believe Adolf Hitler when he says he's going to stop killing you guys? Oh, we believe him. No, I don't think so. It's the same thing. Vladimir Putin, I repeat again, is an evil, murderous dictator. Hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives. It's because Putin invaded Ukraine, period. But you will never hear that from a MAGA Republican, will you?
And now, if they don't want to protect Ukraine, why don't they give them back their nuclear weapons?
That's a very good question that you ask. But you see, these are the kinds of questions that Donald Trump will not ask. These are the kinds of questions that these MAGA Republican cowards will not ask. Donald Trump playing on the golf course, calling Zelensky names. Why are you not wearing a suit? I think everybody should go into the House chambers today that is on the left. Everybody wear a Vladimir Zelensky type outfit, a pro-Ukraine outfit, and then 10 minutes into the speech, leave. These Democrats are cowards. They won't do it. They should. And I've had it. It's time not to play nice anymore. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We got a couple callers from New York. Why don't we go to Ken, who's calling out in New York? What's going on, Ken? Hi, Ken.
Hey.
Hey, Ken. What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
No, I can't believe I got you. I love your show.
Thank you.
I watch it every friggin' day.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you.
Well, it means a lot to me too. All I have to say is I'm sick over these tariffs. I'm sick over what this guy is doing to these countries.
Yep.
And I'm sick to my stomach.
Ken, a lot of us are, Ken. A lot of us are, Ken. No,
I'm
Ken.
retired.
Ken, hang on. You said you shouldn't feel that way. Let me tell you, you sound like a really nice guy. If you're not sick to your stomach over what Donald Trump is doing to this country, then there's something wrong with you. If you are sick like I am, and you are, then we're decent people who care and have compassion for others. You know.
I am sick.
Right.
I'm sick of what he's doing to the farmers and the construction workers and the people, the tens of thousands of people that lost their jobs. I'm sick over that. It's pathetic.
Well, how do you think? Let me ask you a question. To some of these Republicans out there that might have a moral compass, but they're afraid that they won't be able to put food on the table for their families, and they're not going to be in office anymore. There might be a few of them out there. What would you say to them? What would be your message to Republicans out there that still continue publicly to support Trump, knowing that what he is doing is frankly evil and it's going to hurt their constituents? What would you say to them?
Wake up.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say to them. Wake up.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you.
We have a very undereducated population in this country. It's a shame. But the only way Donald Trump would have got into that position is ignorance.
Well, I agree with you, my friend. I don't disagree with you. And I feel you. I'm sick as well. What's going on in this country? All right. Let's go to Jacqueline. Apparently she knows Hakeem Jeffries, and she's calling in out of California. Hello, Jacqueline.
Hello, Brian. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have to tell you, you make my day.
Oh, well, thank you.
Help me to lower my blood pressure by listening to you get angry.
My blood pressure rises, so yours lowers. I understand.
Right.
It's kind of like the way Donald Trump has lived his entire life with women. He gets aroused. He gets aroused around women, and it's the opposite for them. So yeah, that's
right. Well, it raises their blood pressure.
Yeah, probably,
but not in the way that
not in a good way. Not in a good way. So, Jacqueline, do you agree with me that Democrats should walk out of this speech tonight?
I certainly do. I have called my congressperson. I've called the DNCC. I mean, weeks ago, because I told them the Democrats are not strong enough. We need to fight fire with fire. And so my donations, since Trump has got into power, are I'm not donating as much.
Yeah.
And but they're running scared. I had someone from the DNCC call me, or DCCC, and wanted a donation. And I started telling him why I wasn't giving so much, and he hung up on me. And he was calling me as a Democrat.
Well, you know what? When you look at some of these Republicans across the country at these town halls that are cowards and they're walking out, we as Americans need to go to these events that are taking place throughout the country, need to continue to call them out for who they are. They have no backbone and they are cowards.
Right.
We need to continue to do that as Americans because we also have some power. Okay, we have the power.
Well, I do have a suggestion for today. I've already done it.
What's that?
I have Hakeem Jeffries' telephone number. I mean,
okay, so hold on. When you say
message.
When you say telephone number, this isn't his personal
This
cell
is for
phone.
Washington D.C. No, it's not his personal cell
Yeah,
number.
so all anybody would have to do, and I appreciate you for offering that, is go on the website and find him on the government website, and his numbers are everywhere. But
because if we tell them how angry we are, and I just suggested that they not show up tonight or to get walk out in unison. But like you said, they probably won't do that.
No, unfortunately.
But I want them to know. I told them, I said, if you guys do something like this, you could win back a lot of Democrats that are very angry with you now.
So listen, you're speaking logic, and I agree with you. They're not going to do it. If they do it, I will be shocked, and tomorrow morning, I will be in a great mood. Kind of like the mood that Melania Trump is in when she sees that Donald Trump is in another area code, or zip code. But I don't think it's going to happen. Darcy went on the YouTube super chat. Thank you for the donation, Darcy. Says, hi there. A little late, but I agree. They should not show or walk out. I've messaged Hakeem, Chuck, and others. Well, I'm glad you have. I can tell you what these Democrats are going to do. They're going to sit there with a frown on their face, but they're going to sit there throughout the whole thing. And then when asked, they'll say, well, this is what we need to do as Americans. We need to show some decorum and respect. No, those times are over. Those times are over. It's part of the reason why Donald Trump got in there. I agree with all of you. I think most of us are in agreement. Maybe if someone disagrees, you can chime in here, but I'm asking you all the question. Do you think Democrats should just walk out today in the middle of the speech? I think they should all bring Ukraine flags in there, be decked out in their Ukraine outfits and Canadian outfits, by the way. And they should be decked out in Trudeau shirts and Zelenskyy shirts, because that would piss off Donald Trump a great deal. Go in there with all those shirts, even an E. Jean Carroll shirt. Go in there, and then 5 or 10 minutes into the speech, get the hell out of there. They will steal the show, and even right-wing media will be focusing on that and not Donald Trump's words. But they won't do it. They won't do it. 702-221-7283. Let's go back to New York. Let's go to Catherine. Catherine is calling out of New York. Hey, Catherine, what's going on?
Hey, I'm Brian. I want to thank you for your show, for having Jojo on, and for your T-shirts, and for all your advice.
Thank you.
Anyway, I wanted to respond to the caller that said they should not show up. I agree with you. They should show up, and I like your idea of them walking out in small groups.
Yep.
So it takes away from him, and he can't stand that, and it'll break up his lies. And I think we ought to take advice from the people in Vermont this weekend that all demonstrated and told J.D. Vance to go ski in Russia.
Yeah.
And that's what they need. We need to have some stronger people And I think that people are waking up.
Can you give me a reason?
Not.
Can you give me any reason why they shouldn't walk out? Can anybody give me any reason why they shouldn't?
Well, like you said, they're afraid of their constituents. They're afraid of their image. They're afraid of their position. I mean, look, it doesn't, a lot. Look at all the Republicans that are afraid. But the Republican people, the Republicans are having these town meetings, and now they're canceling them.
Right.
So it's really getting
cowards. They're cowards.
They're meetings. They can't. They're cowards. But
they are town. Listen, Donald Trump, my dear, Donald Trump is a draft dodging coward, and these MAGA Republicans are town council, town meeting cowards. They have no backbone. They don't want to face their constituents that are angry. They don't want to face veterans that have lost their jobs. They don't want to face anybody that is going to give them pushback where they have to answer to Cheeto Jesus, because they are cowards. Democrats, I am begging you, show up at this speech in Zelenskyy attire and leave in the middle of the speech. I am begging you. Stop this madness, please, and take control of the media narrative for at least one day. The MAGA world will go crazy if they do that. And they won't be talking about Donald Trump's stupidity in his statements that he makes tonight. It'll be about the Democrats, which is what we want. At least it's what I want. 702-221-7283. Let's see who we going to next. Let's go to Denise. Denise is calling out of Long Island. Hi, Denise. What's going on?
Oh, good. You kind of took the words out of my mouth with dressing as in Zelenskyy attire for the Democrats to go, show up, in unison so that they, show their support. But that you took the words out of my mouth, and meanwhile, I've been trying to call since you got on the air today.
Well, we do have busy phone lines, which is a good thing.
Yes.
But
yes, I agree.
But unfortunately, while we agree, and most of PTL Nation agrees, I don't think they'll do it. They're not going to do it. And Hakeem Jeffries is a very educated man who I have a lot of respect for. I'm sorry, Hakeem, you're the wrong guy for right now. You might have been the right guy 10 years ago. You're not the right guy now.
I agree. Yeah, he is well educated, well spoken, but he's not tough enough. We need somebody.
Who do you think should be in that chair?
What's her name? What is it? It's
Jasmine.
Jasmine, yes.
I think she would be. I think she would be great. I think Eric Swalwell, Moskowitz, Dan Golden. There are several people that I really think give great pushback. I just don't think he's strong enough, and we need somebody else in there that will fight fire with fire, my dear. I really do appreciate your call. Thank you so much. Also, thank you, Chibi, for your donation on the YouTube Super Chat. Chibi says, funny how J.D. Vance is for all-white patriarchy, focusing on baby making when he's married with 3 kids to an Indian wife. The hypocrisy is real. Yes, it is, Chibi. Thank you for your donation. You could also go on pushingthelimits.live, by the way, to make donations, comments, and also buy merchandise on there. We're about halfway through the Super Chat goal. So if there are any generous people out there that want their questions or comments heard, we would certainly do appreciate that. Helps keep us going here, and we appreciate all of you. 702-221-7283. Why don't we go to Julian? Julian is calling, I believe, out of Colorado, home of Beetlejuice Lauren Boebert. Hi, Julian.
Hey, Brian, man, what's going on, brother? Love the show as always, man.
Thank you.
As I always say, man, thank you for speaking truth to power, brother. We need voices like you around here.
Thank you.
And my man, I'm there's no rebuttal around here. I don't even think we need to show up. I don't think we need the Democrats is, the Michelle Obama, we go, when they go low, we go high. That is over. One thing I do recommend people do is download an app called 5 Calls app. You can get directly in contact. I'm in contact with Jason Kroll on like a daily basis. I know they're pissed off at me hearing from me, but it is saying, guys, get some balls.
Can I ask you something though? I agree with just about everything you're saying. I actually think the Democrats should show up and make a statement. Not showing up would be understandable, and we'd both be on board with that. Take it a step further. Show up in a Zelenskyy outfit. Show up in the chambers, and then leave like 5 or 10 minutes in. That would drive Trump crazy, but they won't do it. They won't do either.
I know, and I agree with one of your callers that said, he likes the attention. That would just piss him off even more. And I agree with you. Show up there, show up in Zelenskyy tire, and then leave. A minute or two into the speech, and as you said, all the focus.
Do what Marjorie to the Democrats. Marjorie Taylor Greene shows up during the State of the Union under Joe Biden wearing a MAGA hat. Here's what they should show up wearing a Trudeau hat. They should show up wearing Zelenskyy gear. They should show up. Supporting the world leaders that Donald Trump attacks on a daily basis. That's what they should do, Julian. And I really do appreciate you. And I appreciate hearing from you. Thank you so much. Again, that number 702-221-7283. This is why I love hearing from all of you. And I've always said this, I have some of the smartest and informed and educated listeners throughout the country. And trust me, I understand that. And I'm very grateful to all of you in PTL Nation. Let's go to Robin, who's, I believe, calling from Idaho, if I'm not mistaken. Robin, what's going on? Robin, are you there? Rockin' Robin, are you there? By the way, trivia for you. Who's going to get it? One of my favorite movies of all time. A guy's name in that movie, don't know if that was a male or female, name was Robin. Do you know who I'm talking about? Mickey Rourke in the movie Wrestler. I had to give it away. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kevin. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kevin is calling out of California. What's going on, Kev?
Hey, not a lot, but I love your show, and I love the way you stir the pot.
Thank you.
Listen, the idea of coming in dressed like Zelenskyy is a good idea, but to leave the auditorium is not a good idea because what?
Did we lose you? I think I don't know what happened to our phone lines, but I think we just lost Kevin there. It must be the deep state. I don't know what happened. Did we lose Kevin? Is he back? Kevin, is that you?
Hey, I'm back.
Sorry about that.
Am I
Kevin.
back?
Yep, you're back. Go right ahead.
Okay, if they all get up and leave, that's what's going to happen is they can replace those seats with Republican people, and it will be a complete Republican crowd after a while.
Yeah, but
I just heard this
so I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But we have two options here, Kev, okay? They either sit there throughout this entire speech and sit there frowning, or they decide to leave midway through and make a statement. I would rather them make a statement. Would you?
Well, I wouldn't like them to all be cheering for Trump by the end. I think the dress code is a better idea.
So you think dressing
That's
up
a visual, dressing up like
Zelenskyy.
Like casual.
But here's the thing, right? We sort of agree. Here's our problem. They're not going to do either because they're cowards. That's the problem.
That's true.
I would be okay with any of the things that we have mentioned on this show. The things that I've mentioned, the things that you mentioned, any of the ideas. I'm okay with all of them. They're not going to do any of them. That's what I fear. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we need something drastic, and I think to come dressed inappropriately would be a good idea.
Agree. I'm with you, my friend, 150%. I just don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they have the guts to do it. 702-221-7283. Thank you to Mario. Mario made a donation on the YouTube super chat. We're almost at our goal there. Keep them coming. Mario says, your show makes my day so often. I had to make my small donation, even though I am retired and have limited income. Mario, I cannot even begin to tell you how much I am honored by that. And, it means the world to me. Please save your money, but it means the world to me that someone like yourself who served this country, who listens to this show, you're a hero. I so appreciate your donation. I can't even begin to tell you how much. So don't buy eggs, Mario. I really appreciate you, Mario. It doesn't matter what the donation is. I'm so appreciative and humbled by all of you, especially you, Mario. And I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. We have a purchase on pushingthelimits.live. Mario made a purchase, says, I'm retired. And I made a donation. And I want to do my small part to support my favorite show. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you making that donation. Lori also made another donation. Lori, Brian, the Democrats and their guests should walk out. I think that President Musk is doing this speech. I think it's President Musk, and I think it's the First Lady Donald Trump that's going to be there as well. Can anybody give me a reason why the Democrats shouldn't walk out? I can't think of one reason. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Why don't we go to Dave I believe Dave is next up on PTL on line 3. And Dave is calling out of Ohio. Let's go to line 3 with Dave. Dave, thanks so much for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. So I want to add to it. I've got two other ideas with this whole thing. I agree with the walkout. You ready? Because I know you're an avid hockey fan.
Yep.
They should all have hockey gloves and drop the gloves.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Okay.
There's something about picturing Ocasio-Cortez wearing hockey gloves and dropping the gloves that I think would be pretty awesome.
And here's my second one. You think that one was good. This one's even better. Okay. You know, I'm sure they're, like you were just saying about guests, they should get a whole bunch of fourth graders, and in unison, they should all say, "You're not the president."
That's a good one too. I think that's a good one as well. Hey, I like those two ideas. Funny. Don't think it's going to happen, but funny. And I would certainly be on board with it, Dave. Thank you so much for the call. I actually like his first one better. Actually, I like him wearing hockey gloves. Drop the gloves. It's time to get into it and get 5 minutes in the penalty box. 702-221-7283. We're going to Robin, who's calling out of Idaho. Robin.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi.
What's going on, Robin? What's on your mind today?
Well, you know, more than I could possibly talk about in a minute, but I do agree with your idea about the Democrats being showing up this evening. And what I would like to see them do is just stand up in groups and periodically yell shame, 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 shame at Trump and then walk out. But to continue to do that with the small groups of Democrats, both houses, and then just walk out, because I also agree that Trump thrives on attention, and he would be very angry when the Democrats get all the attention.
I like that idea. I think it would be a little bit more effective without even a chant if they just were wearing Zelenskyy gear and they decided to walk out. But I don't hate that idea. And listen, I'm taking more ideas. I will be texting a few people. I don't think I'll be able to be effective enough to convince anybody, but we'll try. We'll try and we'll see what happens. Let's go back to the YouTube chat real quickly, because I really want to thank Jasmine, who was very, very generous with a $99 donation on the YouTube super chat. Jasmine, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Jasmine says, I'm inspired by Mario to make a donation. I love your show, Brian. Keep up the great work. Jasmine, we appreciate you. Without people like you, we wouldn't be here. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate your generosity. Thank you so much for that donation. Appreciate it a great deal. As you know, Donald Trump is going to be speaking here in a little over 3 hours. Dee also made a donation, a very funny comment. Dee said, don't be a Donald, make abortion legal. I wish, I'll be honest with you, I wish that Donald Trump was aborted. Lori on the super chat says, Brian, the Democrats and their guests should walk out. I think that President Musk is doing the speech. So thank you, everybody, for your support. You could also go to pushingthelimits.live. As we know, this speech is going to be happening here in a little over 3 hours. Do I think the Democrats are going to be walking out? No. Do I think they should? Yes. We're getting your thoughts. And if you have any other ideas, we've had some good ones here. If you have any other ideas, phone lines are full. I do want to go back to Canada, though, if I may, because we have another caller from Canada. And as you know, the 25% tariffs were put in place. And I thought the Canadian Prime Minister did a really good job here with his speech. All right, let's go to Grace, who's calling from Canada. What's up, Grace?
Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Hey, good. What's on your mind today?
I'm an American living in Canada, married to a Canadian for almost 25 years, and he passed away. He was a Canadian history teacher, and the stories he told me of what Canadians do in war would curl your hair. Americans better watch out. You do not mess with Canadians.
Well, I will say this, okay? I will say this. I thought Trudeau did a great job today. He stood up. He showed leadership. And quite frankly, I wish we had him as a leader in this country instead of the orange orangutan. I really do. I really do. Trudeau, I thought, did a really good job. I know his approval ratings are not great, but would you agree with me that Trudeau said all the right things today?
He was beyond perfect. In fact, he's gained support.
Good.
Since he resigned.
I think he's a good man. I think he's a good man.
He's a great man.
And I thought he showed a lot of class too. Like he could have gone really negative, but his message was not necessarily just speaking to the Canadians, but his message was to the American people. And it certainly resonated with me. He's absolutely right. This is bad for America. This is bad for Canada. He doesn't want to do this. These are his friends. He doesn't want to punish Americans. But at the same
Canadian wants to punish Americans.
Right.
None. I mean, there are a few here and there, dummies, but most of the Canadian people, I will tell you, love America. They love Americans, but don't mess with them. They are a proud people. And, if you get in an altercation with a Canadian, you don't get into an altercation with a Canadian. You get into an altercation with Canadians. They're like a wolf pack. They will gather and fight you to the death.
Well, the saying, F around and find out.
That's right.
Donald Trump is effed around with Mexico, with Canada, with Zelenskyy, with Putin, with the American people and our economy. And my dear, I hear you loud and clear. And Trudeau has the right for these retaliatory tariffs. And we have nobody to blame but Donald Trump. And again, I am so sorry that there are so many idiots in this country that have voted for this despicable man. I'm so sorry. I love you Canadians out there, and we have such a great following in Canada, and we hear the phone calls every day, and I'm sorry. It's not my fault. So many people that listen to the show, it's not their fault. It's the idiots who voted for Donald Trump. Thank you, Terry, on the YouTube Super Chat. Very generous donation. Terry said, stay in the room tonight, stand up, and in unison recite the Constitution out loud. Need to remind our Republican friends what it means. It seems they're entirely forgotten. Oh, that's understandable. I think that's a fair thing. And then maybe after that, walk out. I don't know. But Terry, I'm on board with your idea. I don't think the Democrats are going to do anything. We've had so many great ideas today. So many great listeners. Thank you, Shelley, by the way, another great listener. Sing the Canadian anthem. Now that's funny. Oh, Canada, start singing the national anthem. That would be very, very interesting. I just think walking out is step one, right? Kathy, thanks for your support. Kathy says, how about Democrats walking out in unison, escorted by former military men and women who were fired from federal jobs due to Doge wearing their uniforms? Oh, that's such a great idea, Kathy. I love that idea. Why is it that we have to come up with these ideas? Why is it that you guys have to come up with these ideas? Why can't the Democrats that are in office today come up with these ideas? We got 15 donations, and our goal was 20, so we're a few short, and we got about 15 minutes to go, so hopefully we get there. We appreciate your support. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Phone lines are always full, and they're still full. We're going to go to New Jersey right now. Unette?
Brian.
Hi, Unette.
Hi, Brian. Hi, it's Unette. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind today?
I want to say thank you so much for educating us, but listen to me. Trump is a moron. And let me tell you another thing. Morals went out the window since Trump came back into power. I'm sorry. The Democrats need to stand up. I told we got to get back. I don't understand. These Americans are so dotish. I don't understand why they put Trump back there. Oh, my God. I can't believe this.
I agree with you. Do you agree with me that the Democrats should walk out today?
Yes, they should. Yes, they should.
Yeah.
Just walk out. Come in and walk out. We're not going high. That's it. We're not going high no more.
I agree with you. I'm assuming you're Jamaican as well. Can I make that assumption?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm from Grenada.
All right.
I'm a proud Spice girl. You need to visit one day.
I would love
Grenada.
to. I would love to. I love your accent, and we always want beautiful people with beautiful accents like you in our country and thriving. And I'm glad you're a listener and you called in. And I don't care. I don't care what Donald Trump and these bigots on the far right say about people like you. I love people like you, and we want more of you in this country, my dear. And I really do appreciate you. Thank you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Mark is called. We haven't had any Las Vegas calls today. We got to go to Las Vegas. What's up, Mark?
Hi, Brian. Hey, my suggestion would be don't walk out. Just let the Democrats stand up and turn their backs on him and stand there and pull their phones out like they have more important things to do.
Pull their phones out and look at naked pictures of Melania Trump on the web? No, I would never suggest that. That's so inappropriate. No, but in all seriousness, Here's my problem, Mark. Here's my problem. All of these suggestions are good suggestions. If they did any of these things, I would say that's great. I don't think they're going to do any of them, Mark. I really don't. That's my fear.
You know, even a few doing it would be a real signal. You know, safe districts, things like that.
Send a message.
Because then they'll gather the attention.
Send a message. You know? Send a message. When they sit there and they frown in their chairs and they don't clap and they frown and they sit there, they look weak. They look weak. Now, the Republicans look pathetic when they applaud some of the stuff that Trump will be saying today, but the Democrats are going to look weak. I don't want them to look weak. I want them to stay strong in solidarity. Most of the country is with them. Walk out of there. Walk out of there. And you know what? If a few of these Democrats want to flip them off on the way out, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, there you go, Mark.
You know, we might as well act that way, because you can't get any lower than that meeting with Zelenskyy the other day.
It was
it's
embarrassing.
Not like if there's anything the Democrats could do to look so pathetic and weak as Trumpy boy did in that meeting.
Mark, they have an opportunity tonight, Mark. The Democrats have an opportunity to do something. The Democrats have an opportunity to steal the show. The Democrats have an opportunity to show strength. The Democrats have the opportunity to send a message to the Republicans and to America. We are not going to put up with this anymore. You are putting us on fire. The world is on fire. Our allies are now going to be turning into our enemies. It's time to send a message. And if the Democrats don't send a message today, I'm not interested in what a few Democrats' reactions are to the speech. I don't care about that. Send a message to the American people. Walk out in the middle of this speech. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Ken. Ken is calling again, another New Yorker, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Ken, thanks for calling in.
Hey, I'm from New York. You hung up on me the last time.
Oh, I apologize for that. It wasn't intentional. What's on your mind?
No,
Ken?
I'm sure. No, I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah.
What's going on these days in my life is despicable. I just can't believe there's so many stupid people in this country.
Plenty of them.
Well, there's too many of them.
Yeah. Too many of them that voted for Donald Trump. That's for sure. Listen, I can deal.
Well,
I can deal with stupid, but I can't deal with stupid people that affect my life. That I can't deal with.
Oh no, I can't either.
Yeah.
But this guy, he got a jail free out of jail card, and elected president. It's disgusting.
I agree. It's completely disgusting, my friend. I have to get to some other callers because we only have a few minutes left in the show. Thank you for Kim for making your donation. Kim says yours is the first podcast I've listened to ever. Dems, grow a pair. It's time to get dirty. Well, I'm very honored that this is the first show that you have listened to, Kim, and I appreciate your donation. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We're at 16 donations. We're almost at the goal there. Hopefully we can get there. Thank you, Pink, for your donation. Elbows up. Appreciate you, Pink, for your donation as well. Let's go to Michael. Michael is calling from Canada, another Canadian caller. We love our Canadian listeners. What's up, Michael?
Hey, buddy. I was talking to you about a few weeks ago, and I heard today, I agree. You guys should be, like you said, it should walk out, a couple minutes or somehow to make history. The history is Democrat never walk out. This is all like Donald Trump is a history too. So why don't we make a history?
I'll tell you what doesn't work. Nancy Pelosi ripping up a speech. That was a stupid thing to do, and it doesn't work. You have to make a stronger statement than that. Okay, Nancy, get all your Democrats together at the same time and walk the hell out of there tonight. But I don't think they're going to do it.
Okay, well, you know what? I just hope to. And one more thing I want to say.
Yep.
It's like now, like tonight, it just said like after tomorrow, this will be so that the main thing is today, what happened is around the world, it's going to be more people suffering.
Yes.
Ukraine poured the money and the free trade. When people suffer, the families suffer.
Yeah.
and that's going to be a lot.
Isn't that what's worst of all this? The right wingers and Donald Trump and the tech billionaires, they'll be just fine. But the people that are going to be suffering are good people like yourself, good hardworking Canadians and Americans, that some who are working paycheck to paycheck, and that's what's really unfortunate about this whole thing. And Pretty Confetti, thank you for your donation. Rumor is Trump can't read, so add that. He also poops himself and throws tantrums. 100% Big Baby. Thank you, Pretty, for your donation. I don't know if Donald Trump can read or not. I assume he can. He could be illiterate. Who knows? 702-221-7283. We're up to 18 donations now. 19. Sir Seuss, hey, we reached our donation. We reached 20. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Sir Seuss with a $20 donation. Where are the former presidents that are still living? They could have a huge influence. Oh, do I agree with you? I criticized George W. Bush for not coming forward. I criticized George W. Bush before the election for not coming forward. Boy, couldn't they send a message? I agree with you 150%. Thank you, Terry, by the way, for your donation. Says you are awesome. Well, you are awesome as well. And thank you for supporting what we do. We appreciate that. Let's go to Doc, who's calling from Indiana. Hey, Doc, what's going on? What's up, Doc?
What's going on, Brian?
I'm sure you haven't heard that one before. What's up, Doc?
I wouldn't have respected you if you didn't do it.
Fair enough. What's on your mind today?
Hey, it's why I love listening to this show, because until hearing the idea of a walkout, I consume too much political podcast all day long at work. I haven't even heard that idea brought up from anyone at all. So that's another great point of your show, is that it's the first I've heard about it, and you guys not only are echoing it, you're expanding on it and making it more, effective.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to expose how weak the Democrats are. And I hate to say that, but because there's a lot of people on the left that I agree with on a lot of issues, but if they just sit there with their frown, and I see Bernie Sanders slumped in his chair, I'm going to get angry. I'm going to get angry. They're going to show they're going to show weakness tonight. I wish they would prove me wrong.
You guys, if it for what I heard, it started out as just not showing up. No, it's more powerful to show up.
Correct.
And do it like this. Like you said, do it in increments. Take up, walk out slowly. Take up time. Take the time away. Take the attention away, which is all he thrives on. Take his power away from him. Don't make any obscene gestures or flip people off. Do it with some grace and class, and just do it and just steal the air right out of the room. I think that's the smartest thing.
Agree.
The Ukraine ideas and the accessories, that's the icing on the cake. I don't think you could improve on that.
I'm with you 100%. I just don't think that they're going to do it. We have a lot of people on hold, so I'm going to try to get to everybody. You have about 30 seconds each. Let's go to Roy. Roy is calling out of New York.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
The only Republican with any balls is Lisa Murkowski. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't it?
It would be.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Nancy Mace might have a set as well, but for different reasons. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ideally, I would like to see Hakeem Jeffries, who's sitting behind them, get up there in the middle, walk out, and then they all follow him out the door, and they can wave goodbye.
I would have a different type of respect for Hakeem Jeffries if he did that, Roy. Let's go to Karen. Karen is calling out of Arizona. Rapid fire here, 30 seconds. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi, Brian. Love the show.
Thank you.
So my thing would be, because I'm really immature, I think all the Democrats should show up with bags of Cheetos and just eat during his speech.
Listen, I'm immature too, and I like that idea. I do. Right. I think you're onto something there. I'm gonna think about
just
that.
Start opening the bag when he's talking.
Just put it all over their face so they're all orange. I that would be a dream of mine. So I'm immature. I'm right there with you. Thank you, dear. Sharon is calling from Pennsylvania. 30 seconds. Go ahead, Sharon.
Hi, Brian, and thank you so much for your show. It
You bet.
keeps me sane.
You bet. Thank you.
I would like the Democrats, I've stopped donating to them, and I'm donating to grassroots organizations that are fighting 2025 and Trump.
Well, I think you're on. I think you're on. I think you're on the right path there. And I'm sorry we're up against the clock here, but I'd love for you guys to call back tomorrow if you want more time. Who are we going to next year? Sharon in Pennsylvania. Is that who we just went to? Let's go to Liz in Ohio. Hi, Liz. Go ahead quickly.
Hi. How are you doing?
Good.
I think it should be known that the military is purpose is to protect the United States people and the Constitution, not necessarily the president.
Yeah, I think
I therefore think the Democrats need to walk in tonight in camouflage.
I like that idea. Camouflage, Zelenskyy gear. I like that idea, and I agree with you very, very much. So because we are up against the clock, we have more people that want to get on the air. I would recommend that you call a little bit earlier, but I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I also very much appreciate all the donations and those in the super chat. Ovi, thank you for your purchase on the PTL website, pushingthelimits.live. I certainly appreciate you. Thank you so much for everybody in the YouTube super chat, as I just said, and those that have been on the website. It's an independently owned radio show. In order to keep this thing going, we rely on so many great people, and we've had so many wonderful people make donations today. I'm very humbled by that, and we appreciate you. Pushingthelimits.live. Sign up for my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. We're almost at 80,000 subscribers now. We're getting like 300 to 500 subscribers a day, and it's great. We're going to keep pushing out great content so long as you guys keep supporting the show. That's the deal, right? That's the contract we have, and we appreciate all of you very much. So tomorrow on the show, obviously, we're going to have reaction from this speech. I don't think the Democrats will be eating Cheetos. That's a wonderful idea, and it makes me laugh. But we will have reaction from somebody who's moderated presidential debates before, the Nevada Independents. John Ralston will be joining us tomorrow to give reaction to this. I love all you guys. Appreciate you all very, very much and what we're building here in PTL Nation. So thank you so much. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thanks to Numchuck for answering all the busy phone calls. And we will see you tomorrow, folks. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That